Here's Rineman in the Morning, on demand from 102.1 and 105.3, The Shark. It's time for your news on the nines with News Guy.
Today is Free Cone Day at Ben and Jerry's. Their top seller, indictment. Tesla failed to meet its quarterly sales goals. However, many people wound up with a Tesla when the car drove itself into their house. Today, Alec Baldwin turned 65. He blew out his candles and then claimed he did not know his lungs were loaded.
And that's your news on the nines. Now back to Rineman in the Morning.
Megan, what's going on?
So you know how I mentioned that Water Country was teasing a big announcement?
Mm-hmm.
I have the tea on what that announcement is now, and you can't give me crap for it. You have to be nice to me.
Okay, well, what is the announcement?
There's going to be a park-wide transformation happening, including a new main gate and entry sign, color updates to slides, and 2 unique slide experiences.
Wow.
Now, how about them apples? That's exciting, right?
Yeah, well, unique slide experiences. That's quite vague.
Well, no, I think they've gone into more detail online. I think it's like funky lights and things like that.
Cool.
Things like that. When was the last time that you went to Water Country?
Gosh, I don't know, over 20 years ago. I was a camp counselor, probably the last time I went. How about you?
High school, maybe?
I have a feeling I'm going to be going. This will be the summer that I think my daughter's really into it. Yeah, I gave him a call. I suggested some other things they could have done, too. So,
well, I'm excited to go. I love the Dragon's Descent.
The Dragon's Descent?
Yes.
Why? What do you love? Why's your favorite?
I think it's unique because it has like the funnel thing.
You know what my favorite thing is? The Dippin' Dots stand.
You know, I have a friend who's a big Dippin' Dots fan. She'd probably share the same sentiment as you.
Just because it was the ice cream of the future 25 years ago, and we're still waiting for the future. I guess. God bless Water Country, hanging on to that dream. Read all about that, the new plans at Water Country on the Shark app.
And now, here's Sports in 10 Seconds with the Sportsman.
How many picks could a Chris Sale net if the Red Sox could sell Sale?
That's your Sports in 10 Seconds with Sportsman on Rineman in the Morning.
Slay the day.
We are slaying the day.
We are slaying the day.
What else is going on, Megan?
So a Maine woman was featured on HGTV's House Hunters International. Mm-hmm. And it's a reminder to me that I need to watch more House Hunters because I love HGTV. Mm-hmm. Fun fact.
Oh, yeah.
What do you watch HGTV at all?
One of my good friends from college, from Emerson College down in Boston, Ann Niemer, is a big-time producer, though, at HGTV. And she has a blast. Like, I see all her pictures and everything. And she comes back a lot, and she's all over the place. She's like, I think she's in a different place like every other day or something for the next month. But, yeah, great place, fun thing. What kind of show would you bring to HGTV if you were trying to pitch? Like, what's a New England thing that we might do? You like haunted houses, right? Could there be something about like
that would be an interesting premise, like older,
yes,
or maybe not haunted because like I guess that's subjective, but older homes, like
older homes, maybe with a history, and can you get people to buy them? Because
that's interesting. I love this idea
because isn't that a thing where so many people are ghost hunters, right? And they love going to the would they place more value on a place if it was like you might see a ghost here?
I don't know what the technical policy is for being a realtor as far as informing people of a place being haunted. I think from what I understand, like if it's so haunted that the entire community knows about it and it's almost like an attraction in its own right because of that, I think you have to inform people.
Yeah.
But I think if one person complains about something, you don't have to disclose it unless perhaps you're asked.
You know, the realty company that tries to sell demonic houses, Century 666.
It's time for your news on the nines with News Guy.
According to CNBC, the WWE will sell to UFC if approved by the SEC. Yeah, you know me. John Cena wore a pair of custom sneakers from the Kowloon in Saugus at WrestleMania, while Vince McMahon still had lipstick on his collar from the Golden Banana. A policeman in Florida captured a wild alligator in the middle of the road. Then in the middle of the night, Governor DeSantis had it flown to Water Country.
And that's your news on the nines. Now back to Rineman in the Morning.
Megan, we've reached that point where I wrote something for the Shark app, and you have questions.
So there's a man who is the real MVP, and he drank out of a boot in the bleachers.
Yes, he's the hero we need.
At Red Sox opening day. I want to know what was he drinking.
I think it's safe to assume. I had to be careful, but this man...
orange juice?
Yes, yeah. Absolutely. This man, you have to go to the Shark app. He's my hero. He is Mr. New England. He is Mr. New England because he's in their stands. He's in the bleachers at Fenway Park on Red Sox opening day in 35-degree weather, and he is drinking what I can assume is an adult beverage. I'm going to go out on a limb and probably say Sam Adams out of what looks like an LL Bean boot at a Red Sox game.
That's the most New Englander thing I think you've ever said to me.
He is
the king.
He is the king of New England. He's done it. He's gone and done it.
Forget JFK, forget Adams, forget them all. This is the real.
This is the real.
Real deal.
Forget both Ernie Box. This is the real Mr. New England. But I was thinking, like, what are some ways he could perhaps be even more New England? I think he could top himself. So I came up with a couple. Here's one suggestion. He could eat some Wahlburgers out of a CVS bag at a Boston Pops concert. I also said he could dip some lobster in his Dunkins at a Stephen King book signing. Or go all the way, get a celebrity involved. You race Jay Leno around a rotary in a duck boat. That's
an experience I'd pay to watch. Why don't you do it?
You know, I might. I'll give him a call.
And now, here's Sports in 10 Seconds with the Sportsman.
2 refs in that women's basketball championship are just employees from Foot Locker.
That's your Sports in 10 Seconds with Sportsman on Rineman in the Morning. It's time for your news on the nines with News Guy.
Donald Trump arrived in New York to surrender, and he only got on the plane because Ron DeSantis said he was going to Martha's Vineyard. Yes, Donald Trump will be arraigned in court in New York, while Rudy Giuliani will show up at a food court in Newark. If convicted, Trump could be in jail for 4 years, or about as long as one quick story from Joe Biden.
And that's your news on the nines. Now back to Rineman in the Morning.
Megan, what's going on?
So Gillette Stadium is going to have a record 10 concerts this year in 2023, and I got the scoop on who is performing.
Wow. Did you go to each one individually? And did you go door to door at the neighborhood where all the musicians live and say, hello, are you performing at Gillette Stadium? How did you go about this?
I feel like I'd be arrested for trespassing if I did that.
Knocking at someone's door? Why?
I don't know not knocking on someone's door, but if you're
like Paul McCartney wrote a whole song about knocking on someone's door.
I'm talking about
it.
If you're like an A-list celebrity, you can't just, I don't know. I feel like you couldn't just walk onto their property because there'd be security.
You never know. Wouldn't that give away that a celebrity lives there?
Okay, but there are some celebrities.
Like one of the artists who's going to be there is Bruce Springsteen. He just shows up all over the place. He shows up in the park and just plays his guitar for people.
That's true. Billy Joel's going to be there, and I'm Stevie Nicks, and
That's true.
I'm disappointed that I can't be there.
Why not?
I'm poor.
Oh, I thought like there was a legal reason.
No, I'm poor.
Okay. So a record number of concerts. But you just went last year. You went and saw Elton John. So don't tell me you can't go. You went last year to a pretty good concert.
I did.
How long was the concert? How long did Elton John play for?
I sort of lost track of time. The thing that stuck out to me is the amount of time it took to get home afterwards. It took 2 hours to get to our hotel 20 minutes away.
Oh.
Yeah.
Why didn't you just walk?
You know, that wouldn't have been a bad idea, but also Massachusetts, sketchy. I'm making a generalization about an entire state.
Yeah, I was going to say, a lot of people listening. A lot of the mass rage from you lately. Like, you come in here with these stories, and did you know that Massachusetts is not the most stressed out state? I mean, I thought it'd be Massachusetts.
It's because I sit in a sales pit with very angsty people, and it rubs off on me.
You're trying not to call them massholes.
Well, I don't even know if they're from Massachusetts.
You do.
One of them I know.
Yeah. Anyway, find out everyone who's coming to Gillette Stadium and book a hotel at the stadium if you can.
And now, here's Sports in 10 Seconds with the Sportsman.
10 concerts at Gillette Stadium this summer. You think Bill Belichick's a Swiftie?
That's your Sports in 10 Seconds with Sportsman on Rineman in the Morning.
Megan, what else is going on?
NECN says that New England is home to one of the best beaches in all of America, which is pretty cool, but at the same time, I feel like we'd have multiple beaches.
Yeah.
That would be worthy of that title.
Just one out of how many are on the list?
That's for me to know and you to find out by going to the Shark app.
app.
Yeah.
What's your favorite beach?
Yeah, I was about to ask you, what do you think like the qualities of a good beach are?
Well, my favorite is my hometown beach, Northampton State Beach. That's my favorite because you got the beach plum. And
Ooh,
also,
that is true.
You're right near Place Cove, so if you got friends over on the next beach, you can meet halfway, which is my favorite place in the world, that space in between Place Cove and Northampton Beach. So what about you?
Probably Agunquit Beach.
Really?
In Maine. I think so.
Okay.
Well, here's the thing. I go to Wallace Sands a lot. I love Wallace Sands, but there's not like much else to do besides the beach. There's not a lot of shops, restaurants, places like that, with the exception of like a handful.
You could also trip over a ship. That's one thing you can do at Wallace Sands.
that is very true. That is
Find
very
the
true.
boat. I found it. I'm in the boat. Yep.
But then even, I don't want to, I'm very hesitant to say this, but if 90% of the people at Hampton Beach weren't there, I would enjoy Hampton Beach.
Wow. What a thing to say, Megan.
It's gross.
We're
when
the
it's
summer vacation
people,
station. That's not the spirit I want here.
When it's mobbed with people, it's not
Gross.
enjoyable. I like it when it's quieter.
Oh, my gosh.
But if not for the crowds, I would enjoy Hampton Beach. Oh, and the parking prices.
That's what
At
makes Hampton Beach is the crowds.
You have
what are you talking about?
You have the businesses and the shops.
I gotta tell you.
have the beauty. I think one of your best
weren't
skills
for-
is talking over me, John.
You just talked.
It's time for your news on the nines with News Guy.
A beach on Cape Cod is banning alcohol for the summer. Said New Englanders, that's okay, we'll get drunk in the ocean. Taco Bell is holding a vote on whether to bring back the Beefy Crunch Burrito or the Cool Ranch Doritos Locos Taco, marking the one time every American will actually vote. Scientists have noticed the atmosphere has changed on Uranus. The cause? Eating both a Beefy Crunch Burrito and Doritos Locos Taco.
And that's your news on the nines. Now back to Rineman in the Morning.
We've reached that point where I wrote something for the Shark app, and Megan has questions.
I'm hungry. That's unrelated. I just felt the need to share.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Anyway, beside the point.
Yeah.
So a lost Massachusetts dog found in New Hampshire had been missing for 10 months.
Yes.
And he was found. How is he doing now? That's what I want to know.
Seems like he's doing well, I will say, but there's an added twist to the story. There's a surprise for this dog. So check it out on the Shark app because, the dog's gone for a year and the family was kind of like moving on. Mm-hmm. And then, all of a sudden, hey.
Psych.
Guess what? We found your dog, but something cool waiting for that dog when he got home. But it just continues that trend of fugitives coming to New Hampshire. Also on the Shark. You okay there, Megan?
Yeah, I burped. It's okay.
Yeah. I'm going to wrap this one up right here. That was a tribute to the dog right there. Hope you enjoyed your breakfast.
And now, here's Sports in 10 Seconds with the Sportsman.
Marijuana allowed in the NBA. New team, Toronto Reefers.
That's your Sports in 10 Seconds with Sportsman on Rineman in the Morning.
We were just talking about the missing dog found in New Hampshire and returned to Massachusetts over on the Shark app. And then Megan kind of had a little bit of a burp, shall we say, on the air. But I want you to make up for it. Now, you were just I saw this on your Instagram. You just performed a wonderful rendition of a song from Rent in a musical production. You're on the Seacoast. Where was this? Where did it take place?
Oh, so this was a cabaret performance that I was in. It was at Mill Space in Newmarket with Dive-In Productions. And it was just the theme was Smash the Patriarchy. And we all sang, a bunch of us sang different songs. A couple people did spoken word, poetry, things like that.
Can you give us a little bit of the song right here, right now in the studio? What? Why not?
I'm not gonna.
Why don't you go over there and sing our favorite jingle? Why don't you see if you can sing that
I can just do it here. Water country, water country.
Oh, come on. Do it with your opera voice. Give it to me.
My opera voice?
Yeah, dig it in like you did with Rent. Make your voice do that thing at the end. What's that called again?
Vibrato?
Yeah, give me some water country vibrato.
I'll do it slower.
Okay.
Water country, water country, water country, have some fun.
Yes, there it is. Have some fun indeed. Thank you, Megan. It's classic.
I'll be here all night.
It's time for your news on the nines with News Guy.
Today is Hump Day, but Donald Trump will pay us $100,000 to say it wasn't. Donald Trump did not pose for a mugshot yesterday, but only because they could not give him a laser beam background. New research finds that moderate drinking has no health benefits. So I guess you should just keep getting sloshed, Aunt Linda.
And that's your news on the nines. Now back to Rineman in the Morning.
Megan, what's going on?
So there is a place in Newburyport. I've never been there, but it's a lighthouse, and you can have a meal on top of the lighthouse.
Oh, I thought you were going to say something else. But you can have a meal. You can go there with someone and have a meal.
I think it's romantic, personally. Like, I think it's a great date night spot. I have the details on the Shark app, but I'm pretty sure you can, like, order food from different restaurants and, like, it can be catered to you.
Wow. So this is in Newburyport. Check it out on the Shark
schmancy
app. Now, Megan, tell me, how would you respond if on a first date someone took you to a lighthouse? What would be would it be romantic, or is that a big red flag for you? Lighthouse on a first date.
It's the first date part that I would have an issue with.
Okay.
Like, I would feel very, like, this lighthouse in particular gives, like, super romantic vibes. Mm-hmm. So if a first date was there, I'd be like, I'm scared. Like, Mom, can you pick me up? I need an adult, please.
So you'd prefer like a haggard, haunted, rundown lighthouse on the first date? Would that be better?
There'd be more adventure involved.
Okay.
I'd be open to that. I mean, I think I'd probably be arrested for trespassing if it was like a rundown lighthouse you weren't supposed to be at. But
well, let me ask you this: what date is appropriate in your mind for lighthouse? What date is lighthouse date?
This particular Newburyport lighthouse, I think anniversary energy.
But
it's a special occasion kind of thing for me.
Okay, but this is it's like a pricey lighthouse.
Pricier, yeah.
Okay, well, if you have an anniversary or a big occasion coming up,
it's worth it though.
Yeah, and if things go well on that date, my thoughts and prayers to all the ships at sea that night. It's classic hits for the Seacoast, 102.1, 105.3 The Shark.
And now, here's Sports in 10 Seconds with the Sportsman.
Patriots trading Mac Jones? They'll be lucky to get a Big Mac.
That's your Sports in 10 Seconds with Sportsman on Rineman in the Morning.
Megan, what else is going on?
So a ride at Canopy Lake Park is officially being retired. And
Really?
It's sad. Yeah.
Is it one of the major, well-known rides?
It's not. So
Okay.
that was relieving because my first thought was like the Yankee Cannonball
Yeah, I
roller
know.
coaster.
Well.
And I was like,
You know my thoughts on that.
yeah, but I was like,
Quote,
they're not
unquote,
retiring
retired.
that, are they?
Yeah. So this is one of those rides. Can you give me a hint? Is it like inside the park? Is one of those kind of like deeper in the park?
It's a water
sort of?
ride.
Oh.
It's a water ride. Yeah. So it's relieving if you're a roller coaster fan.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're a fan of like the handful of water rides that were at the park.
Oh my gosh. I wonder if I might know what it is. Shark app. Go check this out.
Yeah, we can have a conversation off air and I'll inform you if you're right or wrong.
Well, what's your take on a water ride at a place like Canopy Lake Park? Because to me,
I'm down.
it's like, you are? Then
Have
you
you
got to walk
been
around the park in wet clothes all day.
If it's in the middle of July, that's not exactly going to be a problem.
It's New Hampshire, though.
Also, have you ever dealt with the horrible... Not enough people talk about the horrible experience that is like waiting in amusement park lines. You're sweating your butt off. There's a couple of teenagers making out next to you. You're just like, what the HE double hockey sticks is going on over here? And you're getting sunburned, and you're getting heat stroke, and you got a backpack on, and it's all sweaty. And then, yeah, you spend 90% of your day just getting red or tan or... whatever happens while you're surrounded by a ton of gross teenagers. And
I just love your standards. It's unbelievable. It's like you have to be together 1 year to go to a lighthouse. These children over here kissing.
I didn't say that. That was
HE double hockey stick. Sorry, Mom.
putting words in my...
At least you didn't say stinking. If you said stinking, I'd go, oh my gosh.
Well,
Megan's
I don't
going
know
off
what
the
I
rails.
can and can't say on air.
Oh, George Carlin will tell you that. He's got a whole bit. 7 dirty words. Have you ever heard it?
No.
For you, what would your 7 dirty words be? HE double hockey sticks, stinking.
Everything that Joe Pesci says in Home Alone.
Oh, yeah.
Frick.
Wow, that was close.
That's dirty language right there. I shouldn't...
Be right back with more Rineman in the morning, you filthy animal.
It's time for your news on the nines with News Guy.
A woman claims to have gone on 34 first dates in 19 different countries in just the past year. Her secret? She's a serial killer. 2 Oklahoma jail guards were charged with making inmates listen to the song Baby Shark. It's even inspired a new film, The Shawshark Redemption. A trailer for the new Barbie movie came out yesterday featuring Ryan Gosling as Ken. I hope he doesn't have to do any nude scenes because, ouch!
And that's your news on the 9s. Now back to Rineman in the Morning.
We've reached that point where I wrote something for the Shark app, and Megan has questions.
You got beef with school buses, huh?
I do.
I honestly was surprised when I read that because
Why?
the bus stopped at like
Every
3.
house.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding you.
I've
3
never
houses.
seen that.
After the second one, I was like, what's next going to be? And then sure enough, it did. 3 straight driveways, no more than probably 10, 15 feet apart. I'm not kidding you. 3 beautiful houses side by side by side, and it stopped at every one. The parents were talking to each other. Like, hey, Doug, how you doing? Oh, hey, Kim, what's up? Oh, yeah, what's up? And they're just standing there. And the poor bus driver, my dad drove a bus when he was in retirement in Northampton, and shout out to all the wonderful children and parents in Northampton. My dad passed away last summer. So many of them came to his memorial service, and it was so great to hear all the fun stories they had. But I just feel for the bus driver. You could just feel the coming from that energy, you know? And I'm just like, what is going on? Like, you need a bus stop. And I went on, and it's in the Shark app. And you know what? I might get some grief for this. I'm sure there's going to be some people who are like, I'll have you know that I have plantar fasciitis in my foot, and I can't walk on the driveway. Or some whatever.
It builds character.
Or I have a kid in the house. You can't, well, then bring the baby out on the steps. It's fun to see your older sibling get off the bus. And it's fun. Like, did you ever ride a school bus that stopped at every single house?
No.
It's ridiculous, isn't it?
Not my memory. Jeez.
I don't know what's going on. It's bad for the kid. It's bad for the environment too. Aren't we doing? Oh, we're doing it for the safety of our children. You're ruining the earth with every time the bus has to start and stop. If you disagree with me, go onto the Shark app, go into the top left corner, hit those 3 white bars, submit media, and leave me a voice message. Make a recording into your phone. Let's argue about bus stuff.
It's time for your news on the 9s with News Guy.
President Biden has accepted an invitation to visit King Charles in England. Said Biden, does this mean I have to learn English? One of Donald Trump's lawyers is actually named Jim Trusty. You know your life is weird when your lawyer has a funnier name than Stormy Daniels. Robert F. Kennedy will run for president despite being a COVID vaccine denier. Though to be fair, that family's had pretty bad luck with shots.
And that's your news on the 9s. Now back to Rineman in the Morning.
This is very exciting. You know my next guest from Stranger Things on Netflix and, of course, the legendary sitcom Mad About You. He brings his stand-up comedy tour to New Hampshire. He's making stops in Manchester and Lebanon later this spring. Please welcome to Rineman in the Morning, the one and only Paul Reiser. Paul, how's it going, sir?
Oh, good. Thank you for having me. Nice to be here.
What comes to mind when you, Paul Reiser, think New Hampshire?
You know what? I remember, because I used to spend my summers in New Hampshire. When I was a kid, I went to a summer camp in Bristol, in New Hampshire, and what I remember from as a kid coming from New York, I remember being thrown that the hot dog rolls are square and flat. I don't know what somewhere between New York and New Hampshire, they made a decision that they won't be round, but sort of flat on the edge. I liked it, but I was thrown. I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah, those edges, a little bit scary, right? On the hot dog
rolls.
rolls.
Like a lobster roll kind of thing. It's like, all right, if that's what you want to do, you can do it, but it's just a little wrong.
Well, you know, we're happy to have you here in New Hampshire because there's kind of a weird thing people in New Hampshire are fascinated by. People here really love to talk about UFOs, and I bring this up, of course, because you starred in Aliens, so we have sort of an expert. But I got to ask you, Paul, what have you been making of all these stories lately, these spy balloons and these UFOs? Do you get worried or not so much when you hear about these?
First of all, no, I don't get, to answer your question, no, I don't get worried. A balloon is not a UFO. We know what it was. It was a balloon with a camera from China. You should be worried for other reasons, but not because of alien. But I didn't realize, till you just told me, that New Hampshire is apparently a hotbed of that discussion. Why is that?
I don't know. We're just happy to meet people that aren't us. sometimes. We're just
we're so tired of each other.
Yeah.
We're hoping. Yeah.
Well, I always say to people, I go, "You want aliens?" They go, "Of course." I go, "Well, tell me the names of your next door neighbors." "Well, I don't know. I don't think you're ready for aliens yet." That's what I say.
That's really fun. But let me ask you this: what if another civilization came, met you all, and went, "Yeah, no, we're going to stay where we are"?
Exactly.
Because then you'd feel even worse.
Or if they're just dumber than us, and then all of a sudden we have to hang out with
hard.
them.
That's going to be hard to beat that. I think we're very special in our dumbness.
Yes.
I don't mean New Hampshire. I mean us as a civilization. We have cornered the market on dumbness.
What kind of things are you looking forward to discussing with the great audiences here in New Hampshire?
Well, here's what I'm going to... And I promise people, I say that everything I say, there will be nothing of any importance shared. It'll all... And people go... I say, we're not going to talk about anything that's happening in the world, and people actually are clapping. They're going, thank you.
Yes.
We were so happy. And I tell people, I'm not smart enough to make anything up. So what I do, I just tell people, here's what happened in my house. And I talk about my family and my kids, and everybody's laughing because they're going, "Oh, brother, man, that sounds like our house." So we're all going through the same things together, and so it does seem to be a relief to people to just come and have an evening of let's laugh really hard and then go home, and with nothing important. So it's going to be a great fun night.
Paul Reiser will be appearing at the Palace Theater in Manchester, New Hampshire on May 19th. And at the Lebanon Opera House in Lebanon, New Hampshire on May 20th. You can get tickets at paulreiser.com.
And now, here's Sports in 10 Seconds with the Sportsman.
Flavor Flav at the Celtics game. They should take him over to Fenway and use his neck for the pitch clock.
That's your Sports in 10 Seconds with Sportsman on Rineman in the Morning.
Megan, what's going on?
So it turns out that a famous author's home is in New England, and that would be none other than Mark Twain. And I think that's really cool.
Megan, I hate to break this to you.
I think it's cool.
Mr. Twain passed away.
I know.
Many years ago.
I'm aware of that. You can tour his house, though.
Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah. That's the point.
I was wondering if he was one of your conjuring buddies. You're like, yeah, I was talking to my buddy
Yeah,
Mark the other day at the Conjuring House. He's got a house up here in New Hampshire, too. Do you know about that?
Some great conversation.
Let me guess. You got to go to the Shark Gap and find out where it was, where it is.
Where it is, and you can tour it. And it's really beautiful. Like, I wouldn't just be talking it up if it was just like he had a house here. But it's a cool house, and you can tour it and learn a lot. And I've considered it. I'm going to be passing through that area in the summer probably, so I've considered stopping by. I might.
Because I wondered about that, because when we did our little contest about historical figures, I got Mark Twain. That was the one I got right. But I was like, why is Mark Twain in here? Like, hey, I'll take the win. But I didn't know the New England connection. So that's interesting.
Yeah. Neither did I until recently.
The man has a hell of a mustache.
I'll
say
true.
That. Who's your favorite mustache? Who's got your favorite historical or celebrity mustache?
I'm not a fan of mustaches personally.
Really?
No.
What about beards?
See, okay, the first... I'm not going to say this is like my quote-unquote favorite mustache, but I'm thinking of historic figures, and the first person that came to mind that had a mustache is General Custer.
Really?
He's the first person I thought of. I couldn't tell you why.
Of all the people?
I was looking up...
General Custer?
I watched a lot of historic videos in the office. I have them on in the background, and I was watching one about Little Bighorn a few weeks ago, and I guess it's stuck. I don't know. He came to mind first. He got good hair, and he was in Night at the Museum, too. I don't know the actor who played him, but he did a good job.
What about Tom Selleck? He's a guy from Blue Bloods. You know Tom Selleck?
I know the name, I don't know the face.
Okay.
You know me, it's my typical, like, I recognize the name, but I don't know the face.
And if you don't know the face, you can't know the mustache.
Exactly.
Megan, you're excused.
And now, here's Sports in 10 Seconds with the Sportsman.
When does Vince McMahon's mustache turn into a butterfly?
That's your Sports in 10 Seconds with Sportsman on Rineman in the Morning.
Now, Megan, off of what we were just discussing, you have deciphered who Tom Selleck is, and you know Tom Selleck as?
I know him from Friends.
There you
I forget his character name, but
Richard. Richard
Yes!
from Friends. Monica's
Yes!
first boyfriend before Chandler.
Yeah.
There it is.
He's got an 11 out of 10 mustache. I've looked up a picture, and now I'm
11
cultured.
out of 10?
11 out of 10. It's a neatly trimmed stash.
He's
Yeah.
famous for that stash. When he doesn't have the stash, it's creepy. It's like Clark Kent when he wears the glasses. He's not Superman. Oh, wait, he is Superman.
He's naked without the stash.
Naked without the stash. I want T-shirts for the show. When we start making T-shirts for Ryman in the morning, are you naked without the stash?
I feel like we should just make a T-shirt and it's just of all the quotes that I say.
Yeah.
I have a quote list of like stupid things my friends have said, and I think they have ones of stupid things I've said as well.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's pretty lengthy, especially when I was in college.
What else we got going on?
So I compiled a list of 22 things from New Hampshire that out-of-staters would recognize. And one of them, I want to give a shout out because I love them so much. Stonyfield yogurt, baby. I have yogurt bowls every morning. I have fruit, granola, things like that. I always use my Stonyfield yogurt, and it hits the spot every time.
Is Lindt chocolate on that list?
You'll have to find out by going to the Shark app.
Shark app. People, that should be on the list because that's something that people overlook. You drive right by it over there in Stratham when you're on the way to Exeter.
That's crazy. Like I didn't.
You're all over the place. Well,
Wow.
I used to always get that for friends when I was in New York City and say that this was my New Hampshire gift. And they'd always be like pleasantly surprised. I think they thought I was going to give them like wood chippings or something.
You should get me some Lindt chocolate sometime just to show you care.
Well, it depends. You already said you don't like people with mustaches. What about people with beards?
I like anyone if they give me Lindt chocolate.
Fair enough.
It's time for your news on the nines with News Guy.
Congratulations to Paul Rudd. Today, he turned 25 years old for the 25th straight year. Comedian Monique revealed she is bisexual in her new Netflix special. You know what they say, Monique, Mo partners. A new study found that 61% of Americans are stuck in a rut. I would make a joke about this, but that's what I always do.
And that's your news on the nines. Now back to Rineman in the morning.
Well, we've reached that point where I wrote something for the Shark app and Megan has questions.
So it turns out you can live in a New Hampshire firehouse with a full-sized basketball court, which you wrote about. But what I want to know is,
isn't that awesome?
Do you play basketball? I feel like you have the height for it.
Yeah, I used to play basketball. I don't play really anymore. And I was just talking about this the other day. I ran into my old art teacher from Winnicott High School.
Really?
Hi, Miss Backstrom. Her daughter's a fantastic basketball player and plays AAU basketball for Brian Scalabrine on the Celtics.
Oh, that's awesome.
Formerly of the Celtics. And we were talking, it's just so hard to get back into it when you haven't played in such a long time. So my skills have fallen off, but I'm still a good free throw shooter. And that would be my go-to relaxation activity were I to live in this firehouse. I would just go shoot some free throws. It's kind of like putting. You know, people do that with golf. But did you check out the cost of this firehouse? Here's a hint. It's sadly not on the seacoast because if it were, I would have bought it already. I assume it's probably like a major fixer-upper or something. Maybe it isn't. It actually looked really good on the inside.
Interesting.
But the cost, oh my gosh, it's such a bargain. Like, it's such a cool place, and it's got fun history, and it's right near everything. And I saw it, and I said, I'd put a payment down on that if I could, but it'd be a long bit of a commute to make it here at least for 6 a.m. But what would be your fantasy if you could, go get a place like convert it into a residential area? Where would Megan go live?
Oh, like a business?
What business would you turn into a condo for Megan?
Ooh. This is tricky because my thought immediately goes to I want a place that's really relaxing.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe if I could if there was a space attached to a greenhouse or something.
Ah, gotcha.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of, I wish that we lived in a warmer climate.
So if I'm driving by the Fuller Gardens one day and I see putting a big sign out, the Megan Gardens, I'm going to say, she did it.
I would love
to
live on a property with beautiful gardens, but unfortunately, someone else would have to be in charge of maintaining them because I have a horrible track record with plants. I just don't.
And I have a bad record with fire, so I would need some help if someone came into this wonderful firehouse. But check it out on the Shark app. Maybe you buy it, and if you do, invite me over. Let's shoot some free throws.
It's time for your news on the nines with News Guy.
Today is Good Friday. Speak for yourself, said Jesus. I don't want to say things are a little tight this Easter, but to save money, we are hiding my aunt's Fabergé eggs. It is both Passover and Easter, which means some people can't eat bread while others cannot eat meat, which is why the special at Domino's is just a box filled with sauce.
And that's your news on the nines. Now back to Rineman in the morning.
You know, my next guest, from his 4 decades anchoring the news here in New England, would you welcome to Rineman in the Morning, Randy Price. Randy, it's an honor, sir.
First of all, you make me sound so old.
I have to. That makes me feel young, though.
Well, listen, somewhere along the way, you and I were together, and it's been a few years for that, but we were there at Channel 7 in Boston, and you were there entertaining me behind the scenes.
Yes.
And doing some other stuff.
I'm just going to get down to business here. Any big news story you watched this week? Was there anything on TV you were checking out?
Well, I usually watch just the clips.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
okay, yeah.
Watching, one of the things that I enjoy not doing is continuous coverage of stuff.
There you go.
There was a lot of it I just didn't enjoy, you know, covering the weather nonstop or covering something nonstop. And it can be so repetitive. I mean, there are times when it's really important. One of the most remarkable mornings of my entire career was the day that we were covering live the manhunt for the 2 guys who had committed the marathon bombing.
Sure.
And I don't know if you recall, but I mean, it was, now I was at Channel 5 at that point, and you and I had parted ways, but it was just an extraordinary morning where things are happening everywhere. The governor was shutting down the public transit and so forth. And so, I mean, there were a lot of things where you felt like the viewers needed you for active live information. So I did, you know, I can't say that I enjoyed, but you felt fulfilled by doing that stuff.
Yeah, you felt like it was worthwhile. You were helping people.
Yeah, well, you were serving, you know, it was a public service, and you felt like you were doing something important for people's lives who were all like staying home instead of going to work and so forth and so on. So things like that, 9/11, all of those things were important stories where, you know, you felt like there was a meaning to nonstop coverage.
You know, now that you're retired down in South Carolina, do you still watch as much news as you used to?
Yeah, I watch a little bit of the Trump arraignment, and it is at the heart, John, of people's complaints. You know, those who want to pretend they don't like the media, like it's all fake. Part of their reason for that is that when it comes to all of the, say, cable news choices like CNN and MSNBC and Fox and Newsmax, they're on all the time. Mm-hmm. They have to resort to opinion makers being there. Yeah. So that's where it starts to seem fake, if you will, to people, because everyone has a different spin. I think distrust, so to speak, comes from in that if you watch the continuous coverage of things, it goes beyond the actual events and starts to have a lot of feel and opinion in there. And that's where people, you know, get tired of it and complain about it.
Absolutely. But, you know, say people still want to know what's going on, but keep their sanity. What do you recommend to people that just want to, like, follow the news in a healthy way?
It just amazes me that I am saying stuff like this, but I always say, don't watch too much. Don't watch a whole lot of news.
Wow.
Watch a general news program. I actually think you can get enough in a half-hour program. Read a paper. You know, enjoy your life. Enjoy the John Rineman extravaganza on radio and just have a good time. Your life is your local community. And most of us have a pretty good situation and live in a great place. If you live there in Portsmouth, it's a pretty good world. And there's really not a whole lot to complain about. Plus, your life is pretty short. All of our lives will be pretty short. Enjoy.
Words to live by from the great Randy Price. That's why you are the best.
Now on Rineman in the Morning, it's What's Up on the Shark app with Megan, the Shark's own app and website guru.
Megan, what's going on this fine Friday?
So this is no surprise to anyone, but some of the most haunted restaurants in America are in New England, and there's an article that compiled them. You know what, John? Snore all you want. I actually happen to work at a haunted restaurant. I'm not saying which one because confidentiality and privacy,
that's why.
but at the same time, I'm waiting for the day I see something spooky. There is a haunted margaritas in New Hampshire. I know that. Hey, don't hate, appreciate. I don't make the rules.
Gosh.
I don't make up these stories. Other people do.
Yeah, let me tell you something. If you're in a margaritas and you hear a spooky sound, see if it's followed up with an odor. Yeah, that's not a ghost. I'm sorry.
You know what?
Maybe some ghost peppers.
You can be a hater all you want. I'm
not a hater. There's a haunted restaurants. How many haunted restaurants are there?
In this particular article, 5 are highlighted.
5. The 5 most haunted restaurants.
Ooh. You like the sound effect?
That's your trademark sound effect. Megan, this is well before each of our times, but there was a movie series called Police Academy in the 80s. Mm-hmm. And there was an actor named Michael Winslow, and he did all those sound effects. You may have seen this guy. If you saw him, you might know
I know the
him.
name.
Yeah, exactly. He's a very, very well-known, very nice, successful comedian. He did all the sound effects, like beep, boop, 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 doop, boop, like pressing a robot.
Oh, got you.
Vroom, vroom, you are the new Michael Winslow. Like,
cool.
You have all the sound. Ooh.
I'll add that to my job title.
Haunted restaurants. It's on the Shark app.
You know what? Be a hater.
I'm gonna go read it.
The world's got enough hate in the world, John.
I ain't a hate of no ghost.
Okay, that was
pretty good for 6 in the morning.
And now, here's Sports in 10 Seconds with the Sportsman.
Passover is a Jewish holiday. Passed over is what happened to Tom Brady's receivers last year.
That's your Sports in 10 Seconds with Sportsman on Rineman in the Morning.
Megan, what else is going on?
I am genuinely so excited about this. So we have New Hampshire's first Dave's Hot Chicken location opening in Portsmouth. And I've never been to Dave's Hot Chicken. I don't think I'd even heard of it because it's not in New Hampshire or Maine.
Now explain to me, Dave's Hot Chicken, is this because the food they bring you is warmed considerably, or does he have a very attractive chicken that they call the hot chicken?
Honestly, the chicken's very attractive. I will say that.
Okay.
This place specializes in chicken tenders. They specialize in sliders. They got different levels of spice, fries, things like that. And when I tell you, they have pictures of this food. It is seriously some of the most gorgeous food-related images I've ever seen.
Wow.
I am so excited to go. And I'm not just saying this. I genuinely mean it. I want to go as soon as humanly possible.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Dave's Hot Chicken.
It looks really good. And, I found out about the place because I was driving in it's on Woodbury Ave, so it's technically Portsmouth, but it's Newington in my mind because it's just in that vicinity. But
it's up for debate whether Newington exists, yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. But so I was driving with friends, and this place, the outside decor is tons of colors, very colorful paint, and there's of course a big sign with a rubber chicken's face on it. So I turned, I'm like, what the heck is that?
Sure that wasn't just Ernie Bach Jr.?
Honestly,
yeah.
it very well could be, but it's opening today.
All right.
So,
unbelievable. Yeah. What's it? Dave's Hot Chicken?
Dave's Hot Chicken. I'm going to be there. I'm going to bounce out of here. Peace out.
I'm trying to remember. I feel like I was in a band called Dave's Hot Chicken back when I was in high school.
I would not be shocked. Yeah.
Let's go for broke and Dave's Hot Chicken.
It's time for your news on the nines with News Guy.
An antelope is on the run from a zoo in Ludlow, Massachusetts. Even worse, the antelope told its family it was just going out for some cigarettes. In Pennsylvania, a naked man was stopped for driving a stolen school bus with a deer inside, which got stranger when the police said, "I'm gonna let you off with a warning." Starbucks customers say the chain's new olive oil coffee is causing stomach problems. So while America runs on Dunkin', Starbucks gives America the runs.
And that's your news on the nines. Now back to Rineman in the Morning.
Well, we've reached that point where I wrote something for the Shark app, and Megan has questions.
So I have a confession to make before I ask you.
Yeah.
I was the one who edited your school bus article, so it said "dang."
Who told you to do that?
No one told me to do that. I just got paranoid that the word choice you used would get you in trouble, and I wanted to help you.
I have a choice to make here. Do I do like Maddie down there in Boston and go off on you on the air and say you work with me, Megan? You were on the same team.
Better
or do I just
safe
let it
than
go?
Sorry, it's not personal.
I said, damn. What's the big deal?
I don't know. It's probably fine, and I was just
unbelievable.
I'll tell you what. Run it by my superiors and then change it back if they say it's chill. I just don't
it
know
took
what's
away
happening
so much of the heat of the headline for that story. Is that what you wanted to ask me about, Megan?
No, it's not. So you wrote about the most dangerous time to drive in New Hampshire. And
freaky.
I understand that it correlates strangely close to your accident over the holidays,
Okay,
right?
yeah, I had an accident back in December, so that's why I said I'm kind of interested in this. Like, when is the most dangerous time to drive? Because, I'm not trying to, hey, I'm okay, I'm doing fine, but a little flinchy. Don't go 65 quite yet. And but the summer's coming, you got to pick it up. So says my 6-year-old daughter when she yells, "Pick it up!" So I was like, when's the dangerous time? Dude, freaked out. I look at, first of all, they have the same day I had my accident. I'm not going to tell you what day. You got to check it out on the Shark app. Most dangerous time to drive in New Hampshire. Same exact day of the week.
But it gets creepier.
There's a time frame that says between this hour and this hour. Mine was right smack dab in the middle. It was the .30 of the first hour on the exact day.
That's crazy.
Isn't that crazy? Check it out on the Shark app, and please drive safely.
And now, here's Sports in 10 Seconds with the Sportsman.
Going to the Sox game on Sunday? You should wear an Easter beer bonnet.
That's your Sports in 10 Seconds with Sportsman on Rineman in the Morning.
The weekend is here, and you know what that means.
I'm Charlie Butters, and it's time for your Friday Flix. If you like mushrooms and hate turtles, you'll love the Super Mario Brothers movie. Anyone else think it's weird their names are Mario and Luigi, but they're called the Mario Brothers? I know I hated it when Dad called us the Jessica Sisters. Also out is Paint, where Owen Wilson plays a fictitious public television artist. The character's best described as a cross between Bob Ross and Bob Ross. On Netflix is the film Chupa, in which a teenager meets a chupacabra. The boy calls the animal his new best friend, while the chupacabra calls the boy delicious. I'm Charlie Butters, and remember to keep an eye on the screen and a hand in the popcorn.
Have some fun.
Yes!
Enjoy.